Cool. So today, well, like every Sunday, what I was saying we're gonna start doing is some of the homeworks that y'all turned in for each of y'all to teach like one of those problems two different kind of ways. Either teach it two different kind of ways or teach two different problems. So do anybody have anything they want to, I guess, share? We can go through and we can just pick a few of the code challenges that y'all submitted, and then whoever submitted it can just share their screen and just explain how to complete it. And the way I wanted to do it was like not so much you just kind of like show the solution and just teach it. Like it's better if you teach it as you write it. So even if you got the solution down on like if you already have it written in a text editor, just like write it again, just to get those just to get used to just writing code, teaching it and writing, and that's definitely going to help y'all a lot. Um, so yeah, who wants to start it off?
Go first.
All right.
But I do have a thing. I didn't find a second way to actually complete my problem.
You can just do two different ones if that's cool. Just
But I think the reason why I'm going to start too is I believe I'm on a lower cotter than everybody else. So my problems are kind of simple.
That's
But I'll,
a
I'll
good
do my
way to
first.
start.
I'll do my first one now. Let's see here. I actually already have my environment set up for the more challenging one that I had. Which is basically create a function with two arguments that will, can everybody see my screen, by the way?
yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Yep.
Create a function with two arguments that will return an array of the first number and then basically times it, basically the multiple of that. So you would get the first number, the n would be the number that you're, well, you would get two numbers. So the n would be the number that you get, and then the x would be the multiples of that. And you have to assume that the given number and the number of times will be positive and it will be greater than 0. And then you have to return the results in an array. So because you have to return the results in an array, you have to start off with an array. So and in order for us to go through the actual, in order for us to go through the actual start to actually add to create an array, what would I have to do? And in the for loop, I have the 3 components, which is what you start off, then you have your condition, and then you have the operation. Whatever you're going to add to whatever the action is going to be. Because they're going to be greater than 0. It's going to start at 1 instead of starting at 0. Because I is starting at 1, and we're assuming that the numbers that's going to represent it are going to be greater than 1, then basically what's going to happen is the n is going to be, if I is less than or equal to the value of n, so you have to I has to be less than in order to not create like an infinite loop. I forgot what the real term is called, but it has to start off not being true in order for the n is going to be the number that's going to be entered, which would be the number. And what that would create, which actually based on the number that's entered. So if n was, say for instance, like we see over here, if n was 5, this for loop is going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And like over here, it's going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, in order for the for loop to actually go through and also give you whatever the multiples are going to be. So since it's whatever is going to be entered, say it's 10, the x is going to be the multiples of that. So you would have to multiply each number in the for loop times whatever number.
Something happened to your mic, unless it's just me.
Nah, can everybody still hear me?
It was just me.
Okay, you know, we good. He came back.
My bad, yeah, my bad. Where did we leave off?
No, you was all good, so we didn't really miss anything.
Okay. All right, so at this point, what we have to do is, in order to get the multiples, because you have two arguments that are entered, you have the number and also what the number is going to be multiplied by. So you would need to add, you would need to, within the for loop, actually do the operations of the multiples at the same time. You would take Z, which is the actual array that we have created up here. And in order to add those, in order to actually add to the array, you would have
So what does push do again?
push is actually adding an item to the end.
I can't hear you.
Push would be adding an item to the end of an array. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, that works.
Because yet again, as the for loop is going and it's multiplying, it's actually going to be multiplying times each number. So just like I was saying before, if this number, if n is 5, for loop is going to be going through and adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So x is actually going to be the multiple, which is going to be multiplying times whatever.
I'm not sure if it's just my internet or like if I can't hear, it's kind of going in and out.
No, it's not just you.
Not just me. Okay.
No. He come, yeah, every now and again he'll cut out. I think everybody's facing the same thing.
Okay.
He's pretty good so far, but yeah, he's been cutting out like randomly.
Okay.
So my internet has been tripping, but I'm good on my end. I don't know if I can turn me up or.
No, that's all good. We can yeah, it looked like it's done, right? The problem.
You got to return something.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay, yeah, now you're done.
Cool.
The other actual way that I wanted to do it was use from, but quite honestly, I didn't really understand. And
You didn't really under.
I'll show you, because it'll give you the solution at the end, or the solutions, of course, and I'll show you which ones that this joint right here. Can everybody see it?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever used that one either.
Yeah, so like I researched from, and I understand that that just replaces whatever is in the parentheses. But I didn't really kind of understand the length, and you know what I mean, how that all break down. So like I was still researching on how to do that. So that was the reason why I didn't have a second one to present a different way of doing the operation.
Yeah.
Because I
I
wanted to
feel
tackle
like
it that way.
I feel like it's maybe a dummy variable, but I don't know. Could it be a property or something? Or from? It's either property or from, or it's a dummy variable, just like V and K. Or yeah, just like V and K. I think those are dummies too.
Yeah, I'm for sure those are dummies, but just looking and I mean, yet again, being honest with y'all, I just needed to learn how that broke down a little bit more before I tried to present that and not know what I was talking about. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, respect.
Yeah, it looks like it's good that from. I just never used it before, but I might actually look it up just to see. But it's all good. So yeah, we can move on to the next person. Who wants to jump in next?
As
I can jump
always,
in.
I do have this strong desire to jump in, but because of things that happen, I don't got no computer right now. I'm actually on my phone. I wonder if I could do it on my phone. Either way, you can save me for next time.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, phone would definitely wouldn't work. No, but yeah. Kev, did you say you wanted to?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
All right, cool.
Let me see. So I did some, and mine were relatively simple as well. But I kind of want to do one that has some new elements to kind of talk about those a little bit, just to get some more info on them. Let me see if I can get it pulled up real quick.
Okay.
Okay, I think it's this one.
Did you share your screen yet?
No, not yet. I'm still pulling it
Oh.
up.
All right.
Okay. All right. Can everybody see?
Yep, you're visible.
Okay, cool. So for this one, it was you can see over here to the left, given a non-negative integer, 3, for example, return a string with a murmur. So in the example, you see they got the 1 sheep, let's see, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, so forth. So the input will always be valid, i.e. no negative integers. So let me know that we're just working with numbers above 0. So you started with var. So I typically usually start with arrow function just because that's what I'm just most comfortable with seeing. So I typically switch it over and just kind of remove anything that may or may not be needed. So just took the parentheses out. I know I could leave them, but I just removed too much. Now one thing that I noticed that was a bit different was they started off with I think an empty set of quotes. I'm sorry, can everybody still?
String. You mean they started off with an empty string?
Right. So they set up something like let's say with something like this. And I wasn't really following it at first until I really kind of got through the problem. To which I still wasn't like fully, understanding of why it was needed initially. And if I had to say so far, it was just to ensure that there was like nothing else within the new string other than exactly what you wanted it to be. And so from there, they pretty much just set up the for loop after that. So let's go. No, actually, first start off with an if statement. So that way, make sure that you're above you're above 0, so you don't have any negative numbers. And then from there, that's when you start the for loop instead. So sorry, it's taking me a second. Just kind of going back and forth to call what I did. I noticed for this in particular, leaving this as 0 didn't work. From what I gathered, it was due to you want to actually start from 1 and move up, and not actually like from 0 moving over to 1. So starting with 1 here, it's kind of made that process a bit smoother. So I was using 0 and it wasn't giving me back the correct, the correct answer for what I needed. So start that from 1, and then you filled in the and for this I being less than or equal to number, that's going to make sure that anytime it's less, the number that you're working with is less than what's there, it's going to increase by 1. Typically the same, not too complicated for the for loop, pretty standard for what you use.
How do I know it's gonna increase by 1?
So since you're starting here from 1, well, overall, let's start from the top up here. If the number is anything greater than 0, then you're pretty much just going to start it from 1 here. And so moving over, any event that the in the event that the number that you're at after it started moving is less than whatever the current number is going to increase by 1 from the 2 pluses here in the back.
Okay, so it's the I plus plus. That's how I know I'm iterating by 1.
Correct.
Right on.
And that's vitally important to make sure that excuse me, to make sure that you're moving upwards in just 1 increment, because other than that, it's just gonna either not, or you're gonna be skipping ahead too far, so it's not following the, you know, the correct order like we have over here.
Yeah. Do I have to put the I plus plus step, or do I have
Yeah.
to define I in the function? Like, can I do like right under on line 2 or like on line 3? I could put let I equals 1, and then just run my for loop like that, or do it? Can I like define the I plus plus inside of the for loop or somewhere else? Do
Since
I
you're
have to
using
put it
for
there
loop,
on?
since you're using the for loop already, it'll be better to just leave it there, because adding it in outside of it would just be extra lines, since it's already, you know, kind of guaranteed to work here. To which at that point, adding it outside, I'm not sure if it'll, you know, add on to what you're already doing. So let's say if you so let's say it could end up maybe being, okay, you've already added 1 and then you add the for loop on top of it. Now you might start from 2 opposed to starting from 1, or it just might not work at all. So I wouldn't be sure unless we tried it per se. Whoops. Sorry about that. Okay. No, my bad. I went back. Touched the mouse pad by mistake. Redo this. Give me a sec.
And while you do that, like instead of doing 2 different ways, you can just do it the one way. I'm realizing like how much time is going by, so everybody
Yeah,
can just do a one way to solve a problem.
that's cool.
As far as that question about the for loop, doesn't all the 3 methods of the operation have to, I mean, the 3 methods have to be within the parentheses?
I think he was answering that question. I
I'm
think he
sorry.
was answering the question right now. So from what he said, I think yes or no, actually. It sounded like he said no, they don't have to be, but for the sake of simplicity, it's best that they remain inside of the parentheses to make sure that everything works correctly. I believe that's what he was saying. And then he was gonna demonstrate now this part I don't know. He was gonna demonstrate putting it outside of the parentheses.
So just to get through this line real quick, and then I'll add that in. So you see after the for loop, you're gonna want to use and I switched over to text from new array. You're gonna have it as to where you're gonna implement this back down here with text. So that way you have your empty string, and you're gonna have that to equal out as being the empty string plus whatever I is. So that being the number that you get from here, which the setup we have now will start with 1. Adding another empty string here with the open quotes will add the space that's needed. So there. And then you see you add in just the word sheep along with the ellipses here needed to, follow the same setup that they have going. And I think the last thing you want to do is just go outside the brackets here and just return text. And that should give you what you needed. And I'll try that other, nope, missing something.
There's a closing curly bracket. You have to be after line 6.
It's after line 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And it may still fail, but like there's and it's failing because of what I was thinking. But I'll let y'all try to figure out what's wrong.
Take that space out of the text word.
Okay, one space.
What are you looking at?
On line 2, let text equals, and it should be an empty string, not a space.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, and one more thing, we don't need the if statement because instructions it said that the input is always going to be a positive number, and even if it's 0, it'll still turn out, it'll still work because it just won't run the for loop. So you can just get rid of that whole if statement.
So if I just
Yeah.
drop there and then
Yeah, that'll work.
okay, cool. So that's another way. And Jabez, you asked about adding the I increment outside of the for loop.
Yeah. So you can with for loops, if I'm not mistaken, you don't have to define I inside of the loop. You can actually define I or whatever variable you're going to use as your iterator outside of the for loop, before the for loop. And then you can use that as an iterator. You can also use your iterating method or whatever the case is, or the function that you're going to use to iterate. You can also define that inside of the for loop. So while the for loop is running, so you can put it anywhere. So like if you wanted I to start by 1, and let's say you wanted it to count up before it even reaches the text, that text function, then you could I plus plus. So you can take it out of the out of line 4. You can run I plus plus on line 5, and then oh yeah, good, exactly. Run I plus plus on line 5, and then it'll iterate before it reaches the function. If you wanted it to go after the function, then you would do the same thing, except text would or you'll do it on line 6. So yeah. So you can run it outside of the parentheses. You can iteate whenever you desire inside of that for loop. The reason I say that is because there was a problem where I had two iterators, the I and a J iterator, or 2 for loops running at the same time, and I had to iterate in a special way. I couldn't just iterate at the top of the function or at the top of the loop. I kind of had to sneak it in there somewhere else. So, and in an if statement too, I had to roll it back. It was a couple of things I had to do. So that was like beneficial to know. Also, if you define your iterator outside of the for loop, then you can keep that number. If you do it inside of the for loop, then that number is always going to initialize at 1. So it's always going to restart and start at 1. So if you define it outside, once you run your for loop, iterate it, it'll maintain that iteration. So in this case, it'll run up to, I don't know, I guess if it runs up to 3, then instead of now reinitializing at 1 when you run a for loop, it'll stay at 3, and then you can use it elsewhere in your code.
Would it look something like this?
No, it'd be I equals 3. It's initializing, so it'd be just the same way you initialize variables. Let I equal 1 in this case.
Okay.
So state code if you want to. And then you can erase the let I equals 1 in that problem. I believe you can erase the let and just keep I equals 1.
Okay, cool. Let's try it real quick.
You don't forget to
you got to put the I plus plus.
It's going to break it.
Okay, so I still need that at the end here.
No. You need to put it on line 6.
Inside the for loop.
Yeah, inside the for loop on line 6. Enter I plus plus.
I think it's before the text.
Nah,
He said,
nah, he doing it right. You want to run the first iteration, then you iterate to number 2. So you want to put it after the text,
okay.
and there you go.
Yeah, it's interesting to see like, a bunch of different ways to kind of do the same thing. And I mean, and obviously, like depending on your problem, you could have cases where you want to increment I given certain during certain times, or like initialize it outside of the loop. And normally when we initialize like the variable outside of the loop, we use a while loop. So the while loop, it'll just continuously go until you exit out of it. But it's the same type of concept. But yeah, it's good that we saw different ways to even loop over that. That's good to just have. So yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen this method before with the I being on the outside of everything, because you're doing the loop already. Typically, all that's in there.
Right, exactly. And I would normally just leave it like it was, like the use the for loop as it is, unless there's a special case for you to define it outside of the loop. But yeah.
Twice
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
initial.
So I was gonna say the specific time that I used it was for I think I needed to run a for loop and to count. Oh man, I'm gonna just give a scenario because I forgot the exact one, but basically count the number of positives type thing. So I had to loop through an array, and I used a for loop that time. And as I was counting the positives, I had count defined already outside of the variable. So then I could just plug it in a for loop, iterate every time I found a positive inside of the variable, and then just literally return my count, and my problem was done. So I didn't have to like push out anything else. I could have iterated it. I could have iterated the count inside of the loop, but instead I just used that for my iterator.
Yeah.
If you want to, bro, you can bookmark that one. Either show us on Tuesday or next week, either one, so that way we can kind of see it, the breakdown.
Yeah, that would be good for Tuesday for sure. Yeah.
I try to see if I could find it. Yeah,
Okay.
I got a lot of I got a lot of problems, kind of stacked up on my code because I got a whole like Cold War practice file that I use, and so I just
Yeah.
keep adding my problems to it. So if I can find it, I definitely do it next Sunday.
Definitely.
I believe.
You got
Yeah.
99 problems.
But account ain't one hitting. But yeah, all right, I got y'all.
Who wanna jump in next?
What's those?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay. All right, Sam.
So this was the one I solved. Say you get an array of numbers and return the sum of the positive ones. So, you pass in the array of numbers to the positive sum to log it out on the console.
Question: Why are you logging? Why are you logging using console.log? Yeah, why are you using console.log? What's going on?
I used to use console.log so that I would see the return value from that is a return answer on the console.
So you're trying to invoke the function. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Last time I used the map function. I think the map function returns Boolean either true or false, while the filter function returns either the values.
No, the math
from
function
the,
return values. You just have to return. So the math function is going to change the element of the array to whatever you return from the math function. So you're going to iterate through whatever array you're running the map method on, and then for every element that you for every element that you have in the array is going to take that element, run whatever method or whatever you put on it, and then it's going to return that result as a element in the array, as a new replacement element inside of the array. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah. So that's what the map function does. It's not a Boolean.
So if I return the sum, it's going to log these numbers here. That is the all the numbers here. That is why I added the console.log. That is to return the final answer from this function.
Oh no. Well, the console.log is just gonna log it on the console.
Yeah.
The return array is what's returning the final answer.
Yeah.
Well, if that's your final answer, I mean.
So
Console.log is just like so you can see it in your inspector.
Yeah.
Yeah, before this, you don't necessarily have to use it. And forgive me, you know what? I'm sorry. Go ahead and do your do your demonstration. Let me quit interrupting.
Just for like context, using the console log here, it could be a good thing only because like you're seeing what your result is coming out to be. They do run tests on each of these, and the console log has nothing to do with the test, but you can like debug as you go if you wanted to just write it in this text editor. That's the good thing about it if you use it here. But yeah.
So I say we should filter out the negative numbers. So I'm going to array.filter. Take some function and give it an argument of an element. So if the number is less than 0, that means it's a negative number. We are not going to return it. We're only going to return the positive numbers. So if the element is less than, go to the instructions. So to return the elements. So we are only returning the positive numbers because they said we should find only the positive numbers. That's numbers that are not greater than 0. So we're going to add the numbers in the array. You can save the return value to a variable. Positive nums goes to the return value. So we have the positive nums here, and then we have to add it to get the final sum, which is 15, I guess. So we are still getting the positive numbers. So we have to add it. So in order to add the positive number, we use a method, the reduce method, which is used for adding numbers together, either by addition or by multiplication, subtraction. So we do positive numbers to reduce. It takes in the parameters of two numbers, A and B. Then we add, say, A plus B to add the numbers that we get from the positive filtered numbers to add them up. Do positive numbers dot to reduce with two arguments. And we can
Don't you got to return something from that reduce function? So return A plus B.
sorry.
And also return D.
Yeah. So return the sum A plus B and return the value. So I had this issue when I was first solving it. So I googled this error. So they said if you are using a method like filter method, you have to add an initial value of 0 down here. And if you are multiplying with the reduce method, you have to add an initial value of 1. I think the array, the filter method kind of removes an initial value from the.
So the problem is that you didn't add that initial value in the reduce. It doesn't have anything to do with the filter. Reduce always takes two parameters, the function and the initial value. So yeah, it's not because it has nothing to do with the filter. Just wanted to clear it. It's just reduce. But it's good that you're actually using reduce because not everybody know how to use that that method. So yeah, and to be honest, like the answer was still there without the initial value. I guess it initialized it as at 0 because you didn't define it. But the error that you were seeing was basically like it was correct, but it wanted you to write it in a specific kind of way. Like it wasn't like it says type error. Like it's not an actual like it's not something that's going to break your app. But yeah. But I will always add that initial value in there. Yeah.
So question, what does that A and that B represent?
They represent the arguments, that is the numbers that you are multiplying. That is two addition. I think they are supposed to be an extra values. You are supposed to add an initial value.
So does A represent the cumulative value and B represent the new value being added to the cumulative sum?
I think A represents the incremental.
Yeah, it's a cumulative. Like Jay, you were right about that. It's the cumulative one. So A starts off at 0 because we gave it at 0. And then every time we hit that return statement, A changes. So the first time around, it'll just be 0 plus B, and B being the number 1. So that will just return 1. And then now A is 1 the next time around. Then it'll be 1 plus 7. So it'll return that, and A would be 8 at that point. And it'll keep doing that over and over until one value is returned from this array, which is that number 20. So in that case.
So you can change it to a ternary operator.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you saw that too, because that's what I thought you was going to initially do, and it's good to even like to see that you can reduce that down even further.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's tight.
Yeah, you don't even need to do that. You can just leave it as is, element greater than 0, because that gives you back a Boolean, and filter takes Boolean. You're supposed to return a Boolean. The only reason it worked the way you did before was because those values are truthy. Like you're either gonna give it a truthy value or falsy value, but you literally just had to return Booleans from there. So if you just did element greater than 0, that's all you need. You don't even need the rest of that stuff there.
That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. So I return Booleans. So that's just like sort, except sort uses -1, +1, and 0.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and sort also, like, it gives you back an array that has the same length as the initial array, and in filter, it doesn't always do that, because you're literally, removing stuff from the array, so it may not be the same length as the initial array.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to start using filter.
Yeah, it's a good
I could
one.
have probably.
And with reduce is a very powerful one to even know. So that's good that both of those are in there.
So could you combine it? So like, could I run an if statement inside of reduce and even get rid of the filter?
Um, yeah, you
Like
can.
if I do array.reduce and
Yeah,
then run that if statement and make
right.
that so if element is greater than 0, then I'm returning A plus B. If not, then I don't do nothing.
Correct. Yeah, and that's why I said reduce is powerful. You can literally do all of those things with reduce. So, well, you could do a lot of stuff with reduce. But yeah.
That's
I have a question in this higher order function. When will you know when to use the filter method or for each and the other one map? When will you know the particular time to use them?
Right. Generally, when you know you need to filter, you can just use filter. If you want to, map will only be used if you want to transform the array. For example, if we had an array of like 5 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you needed to multiply each of those by like 2, for example, it would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, like that. That's something. If you wanted to change the value in the array, but keep the same length of the array, you want to use map. And for each, you want to use whenever you just want to iterate over. Now, obviously, you can use map to iterate over the array, but for each is better because it doesn't actually return anything. It does one less step than the map method. So map gives you back an array, a modified array, and for each doesn't give you back anything. It's literally just to iterate over the array. So yeah. It's just trying to keep the code as like simple as possible, like without any extra like stuff. So, and reduce, obviously you can use that a whole bunch of different kinds of ways. That's really up to your imagination with reduce. So, but yeah, good job. Who wants to jump in next? And I remember this one too. I remember this one. That was the one that that we asked during the interview.
Interview.
Yeah, I can jump in.
All right, cool.
You can see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. So what I'll go ahead and do is sort it, yes, no, how. And so it takes an array as a parameter. And if it's sorted in ascending order from least to greatest, then it would return yes, ascending. If it's ascending or if it's sorted in descending order from greatest to least, then we would return yes, descending. And if it's not sorted at all, just return no. So for this particular one, actually, I learned two things. One was that when you run the sort method on the array, it does modify the original array. And yeah, actually, if I would have read I thought I just knew how to use it. If I would have read the fine print on W3 Schools, it tells you it modifies the original array, but I took, longer than I should have to resolve this one because I didn't necessarily see that particular note. And then when I was debugging, I was noticing that the original array was getting modified. So I'm going to go into Visual Studio Code. I already have it set up as an arrow function. And to get around that, I'm going to create two variables here. One, we'll just say ascending, and I'm just going to copy the name from here just to get the spelling right. And my ascending array or ascending variable will take, since the sort method modifies the original array, I'm going to basically make a copy of the array using the spread operator. So that'll be an array, that's our array brackets here, 3 dots, and then our array parameter. And then this is just going to make a copy of the original array without modifying it. And then I'm going to take that and apply the sort method to that so it doesn't modify the original, and you'll see why in a minute here. And then the sort method takes option in order to sort it. And then we'll pass in our arrow and our brackets. And what this is doing is taking the array that we have, making a copy of it, and sorting it in from greatest or from least to greatest in ascending order. So that'll be returning B minus A. And then basically I'm going to do the same thing again, but I'm going to have a variable for it being sorted in descending order. And for that, you just have to switch it. So it's A minus B, and that'll give it to you in descending order from greatest to least. From here, then I'm just going to create an if statement. And here's the second thing, I'll say it now while I'm typing up this statement, that I learned was that you can't compare arrays directly. So if two arrays have, let's say you have two arrays and both of them have the numbers 1, 2, 3 in them, and you do, a double equals or even a triple equals, comparing them, it will give you a false saying that they're not the same. And so my way around that was to take these ascending and descending variables and using the join method to convert them into strings. So I'll take our original array and then just say, I'll just type it. Our original array equals our ascending array here. Yes, there it is. Then, original array dot join. You have to join both since we're going to compare them as strings, basically. And we're going to apply the join method to both. So convert them both to strings and compare them. And if it's in ascending order, then we'll go ahead and return the first message, which is yes, ascending. So I'll just copy that straight from the code war.
Is there supposed to be a comma in the middle of join? Array.join,
Yeah.
then comma. Okay.
Yeah, we're joining it at the comma because it's an array. So since it's already an array, we're joining it at the comma. Yep. And this actually, I'm actually just kind of copying this from the solution that I already had. So this should definitely work.
And just to comment on that, like with that join, that comma is optional. It still works, and this is a really clever way of even like solving this, to be honest. So yeah, definitely good job on this. But yeah, either way,
Oh, thank you.
with that comment or without it, it'll still work. But yeah, it's still. I
Oh,
was
on the join. Okay.
yeah.
You know what I was thinking about the split method, because split, you always have to put in what you're splitting it by, whether it's a space or, so that's probably why, yeah, I put the comment in there. Okay,
But it's still
definitely
works.
good to know. So
Yeah,
same thing,
this is
we did an else if, and then we'll do yes descending, and we'll put that in there. Oh, of course we got to return it, so we put our return keyword. Both. Let's format it here, and then something else. We'll just do turn no. Okay, and
this.
that. Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
No, I was just saying that was like super clean.
Oh, appreciate it. Go ahead and test it. Yes. Okay. What did I? Let's see. Yeah, expected. Maybe I got my variables mixed up. Let me just check here. Got our join, sending, descending. Maybe I mixed up. Let me go back to my code. Maybe I mixed up the variables. Definitely worked through the others.
I'm thinking if there is something wrong, maybe those sort ones, maybe you got to return A minus B instead of B minus A. Like
Yep.
switch 'em. Those always mess me up. Now that could not be the answer, but like I'm thinking that's probably it because everything else looked right.
Let me paste in what I originally submitted too. Maybe I can just compare it to that. Like,
No,
let
I
me just
think
put that in
what I
down here.
said is
I put it in here with some comments, and it looks virtually the same.
But yeah, it is. It is the same.
sure.
Oh no, you switched. No. So on line 37, you put yes descending, and that's the reason it works. You did twice. Those returns inside of the source are wrong.
Oh,
I know they're wrong because which
Oh.
return? Yeah.
okay. On my original problem, not on the.
Yeah. The original problem, you flipped it. Like those if statements, it works because of the coincidence that you flipped it twice. Like you on line 27 and 31, those are supposed to be flipped. And also on line 37 and 39, those are supposed to be changed also. Those are the wrong ones. You see it? You put if
I see. Yep.
yeah, you double.
Got you.
So yeah, that's it was just a coincidence. So yeah.
Okay.
Double negative
Ooh,
equals a
because of
positive.
Right.
right. Okay. Cool. So
So
really, this was the whole solution with the notes. But right. So the idea is there. I get what you're saying. So we could just flip the names back around, and that would be.
well, I wouldn't flip the name like the way you have it. Like the first time you quote it, if you scroll up, yeah, this is right. The only thing that's wrong here is line 4 and 7. Line 4, you want to do A minus B, and line 7, you want to do B minus A.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, and that makes it right after you yeah.
Okay. No, that makes sense because then it's ascending. So A goes after B goes after A, and then B comes before A for descending. Yeah. Okay. No, that makes perfect sense. Let me go ahead and put that in there. Oh, yeah. So that's what I got. Those two things I learned from there was use a sort, it's going to modify the original array. So as I was comparing, it kept failing. So then I decided just to use a spread operator to make a copy of the array instead, and then compare it that way. And then I was running into trouble with comparing it because I was comparing to arrays. So then I just joined them using join method and turned them into strings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that's cool. Like I didn't know if you compared to arrays, you wouldn't be able to see, like it'll automatically come out falsy. Like comparing to arrays is falsy. I wonder how you could turn that to a truthy value, or like, yeah, that's interesting. I kind of want to research that now.
Yes. Some of the other solutions included this every method for arrays, which I never heard of. And I was like, it looks cool, but I can't really explain it after I found out, figured out my way of solving it. But I was like, yeah, it looks cool, but I can't really explain how that works. So
go ahead.
I wanted to say there is another one, some and every, but I've never used it. I've never used some and every.
Yeah. So some and every are very similar. So this every method, what that does is it returns a Boolean every time. Now it returns, it gives you back true if you get if the Boolean is always true. So in this case, it's saying array dot every, and then it's returning I double equals 1 or array at I greater than array at I minus 1. Now all of that logic within there like is a little confusing, but all that's really doing is trying to make sure in every case like that is going to be true. Like, and I guess that Boolean, I guess that return statement defines whether or not it's ascending or descending. So
I didn't know you could nest
okay.
if statements in a tertiary if statement. I didn't know you could nest them.
Yeah, you can. Yep, you can nest them.
My gosh.
Yeah, because if it's false, you just go straight to the falsy one, and then you just build right on top of that. Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah.
I just learned something.
Yeah. Yeah, it can get real crazy with those. So yeah.
I could have saved so much time. Yeah. I didn't think you could nest them. This is what happens when you read. Yeah, right on. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for this one.
Who wants to go next?
I'll stop sharing.
I wish I had my computer.
I'll go next.
All right, cool.
All right, just give me a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, low key, y'all out here getting me fired up. Oh shoot, my phone finna die. I gotta go hit the yeah.
All right, so the objective of this problem is to find the missing letter in an array. Like, for example, you'll get an array that says like A, B, C, D, F. But like, it's supposed to be in alphabetical order. But like between D and F, there's supposed to be an E. And that's the letter you're supposed to figure out in return. So first up, what we'll want to do is to both establish an array, like let and in this array, it'll contain the letters in the array put together.
Huh?
Wait,
My bad. That's my bad.
have you guys been able to hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
That wasn't.
Yep.
Yeah, I took myself off mute by accident.
Oh, okay. And this variable will have the letters joined together using this join function. Then we'll make a for loop that'll go through each of the letters. Next, we'll do an if statement. And for this problem, I'm going to be using a particular function that will look at the letter and give like the the corresponding number that goes along with it. Like say like you got lowercase a, that will probably be 0 in this case. And then lowercase b being the next one would be 1. So basically it takes like any letter that it sees and turns it into a number. And this function is called character code at. So we're gonna take the we're gonna take the letter that would be above the one at I and subtract the one that would be where I is at that moment. And if that's not equal to 1, that's when we return the letter that should be there. And in order to do that, we need to do the function string dot from char code, which will allow you to get the letter without the need for the without the need of like looking directly at the array. And I think this should do it. Let's test it out. Oh shoot, I did something wrong here.
It maybe you need to return just I and not I plus 1.
Just I?
Yeah, I think just I and not I plus 1. That may work.
Oh, that's not it either.
I
Oh,
think
shit.
I think yeah.
Not equals 1.
Say that again, Isaiah.
Yeah, that surprises me. I don't know. You on mute, Isaiah, if you're talking. Or maybe not. Uh-oh. Let me see. So return I got D. Return I plus 1 got F. Which was the one afterwards. Oh. You should return.
Hang on, wait a second.
Uh-huh. There you go.
This might
All
be
right,
it.
Mm-hmm.
There we
There
go.
you go. Yeah. because you was just returning the next character in the array is what it was doing at first.
All right, so I didn't figure out a different way to do this problem. So you mind if I just pick out another problem?
Yeah, he said. So he said if you don't have two different ways to solve the same problem, then you can
Yes.
solve two different problems. I think so.
Hold
The
on, hold
second
on.
way, because I did this, and I have another way inside of the Slack, but I believe I just did all of the letters from A to Z, and then I think I did like from A to M again or something like that, and then just searched the array to match up which one it was at, and then literally just did the next character. So
Yeah.
I did the from character code method, except it was it was the long, arduous way and not the easy way.
Can y'all hear me now or?
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you don't have to do two. It's fine. We're just gonna do one because it took a long time. We already an hour and 15 minutes over. So yeah, just one is fine. And yeah, I like that you use this charcoal thing. So people don't know about the charcoal option. Um, so yeah, literally every character can be changed to a number, and that's the character code for them. So yeah, this is a really good way to do it. Um, but yeah, let me take over from here. All right. So good job with everything. I like how everybody explained while like doing the problem. And to be honest, like I think maybe those interviews were a little too quick. Like if y'all actually had time, it looked like just from y'all describing like how to solve those things, like y'all would have passed the interviews. So I think that was probably just like a time thing. But yeah, good job on that. And we'll definitely continue doing this every Sunday. But the second half of class, I wanted to go back to React and teach something new. But first, I want to give y'all 5 minutes to just like relax. My computer says 11:15, and we can just come back at like 11:21 ish, like I guess in like 6 minutes. And I'll let y'all know a minute before we start, and then we'll just jump to React and learn something new in React. All right, cool. I'm gonna take my break too, so I'm gonna go on mute until it's time to come back.
Thank you.
All right, cool. We'll start in another minute. I'm just gonna get set up on my side. Cool. So I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna just create a new React app real quick, just to get it started. CV to desktop. React app. Did we already go over this? Context.
You talking about the use context hook?
Yeah, did we go over that already or no?
Not in this
I have it here. I have it
we
here.
did in the previous.
Yeah, I'm just say context 2. Because that's what we're gonna go over.
Oh yeah. Now loading.
Yeah. And I'm gonna bring up W3 School also, because there's some stuff I'm not too sure about. I think I know how to set it up, but like sometimes I gotta look at it again. W3 School. Create context.
So
Create
what's
context.
jQuery, by the
Go
way?
ahead.
What's jQuery?
Oh, when I was looking up jQuery is an outdated it's JavaScript, but it's outdated. It's like very outdated. So I was looking for I don't know if you sent it because I was looking for jobs with jQuery in it. Where
Correct.
yeah, I was trying to look for like low hanging fruit. It's like if they're using jQuery, like they're not using nothing modern. So like it'd just be an easy job. That's why I was looking it up.
Ah,
But yeah, it's outdated. It's very out. Don't even try to learn it. Like I would look it up on YouTube, but don't even like try to learn it. It's not even worth it. So yeah.
tell you, man. That's exactly what I was gonna do though. Just look it up to see what it looked like.
Mm-hmm. This is taking forever.
It's gonna be a long time.
Yeah, so what I'm about to do, I'm just gonna X this out, and because I don't feel like waiting for that, we're just gonna use the old one that I have, context, the one I put together before, and I'll just go over like what I'm doing in these files and like the significance behind it. It'll probably just be better overall just to see an example that I already did before anyway. Let me just start this up. Then I'll start going through the files. So basically context. So right now in React, we were, in order to save state, we were using the use state hook. The problem with using the use state hook is that now it's not a bad thing to use, but the problem is that you only have access to that state within that one component. Now with context, you're able to have like a global state, like some state that every component can reference from. But someone's going to say something.
Essentially, it's like using var, while use state is like using latent const.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I didn't even I didn't even write anything in here. I'm looking at the code, like it's literally nothing in there. But it's already built, which is fine. And we're gonna go through, we're gonna see both examples of like using the use state versus using use context. So let me see, what time is it? It's 11:26. I'm gonna see if I can get through this. I'm gonna create two components. one component, I'm gonna just name it right. Actually, first gotta create a components folder. Let me stick to the convention. So inside of the components folder is where I'm going to put all of the components. One of the components is just going to be named right side, and y'all gonna see why I'm doing that in a minute. And the next component is going to be left side. I hope I just did it the right way. No, it didn't. Move that inside here. Okay, so we got right side, we got left side. Let me create this right side.js, and I'll also give this a CSS file, right side.css. Now do the same thing with left side. New file.js. And this is .css. And this actually can be JS or JSX. JSX it just says that we're using the HTML as a return statement inside a return statement. Either way, it still works because it interprets JavaScript files as JSX files, so it's still the same. But this is technically right .jsx. But yeah, let me import both of those components in here, and I'll get rid of this. I don't need any of this stuff. I'm just going to delete that and save it. Okay, cool. I'm gonna import both. Okay. Let me just write it in here. I think the import would automatically happen. Right side. Import it. Just manually do it. Import right side. Oh wait, I have to export it. That's why it's not importing it. Let me just export this. So this is right side. Copy. That. This. Return. Put a div in here. Just say right side. Then we'll export default right side, and we'll do the same thing with left side. And actually, hold on. Let me import the CSS as well. CSS. Left side, we're just going to change everything. Left side. And now we're going to write those in here. Right side. Now we're importing by itself because we exported it from the other side, from the other file. We have left side, right side, and left side. Let's see if it shows up. Okay. Can't find left side.css. Did I not name it left side? Left side. Okay, I see what the problem is. I think dot slash. Sometimes you gotta put that dot slash in there. Dot slash. Yeah, there we go. Right side, left side. Cool. What I'm gonna do is first I'm gonna use the use state quick to give it some state just so we can get familiar with this. So right, I'm just gonna say set. I'm just gonna say text actually. Text and then set text. And use state here. We're gonna initialize it. We'll just say the text is just gonna be left side here. And then we'll put the text in here. And
that imported automatically?
Yeah, import automatically. Yeah. As soon as I wrote it, it imported.
Was that just built into the package, or you have to install some extra to do that?
This use state here.
Like the fact that, yeah, that you didn't have to import it first, that it,
I think it just does it. VS
It
Code.
comes with React.
Yeah, it may have something to do with me it recognizing what kind of file this is. It's a React file, and so
oh,
it knows to reference all those things. That's what I'm thinking is the reason. Even us getting this auto completion, this literally just says that they're using something called TypeScript. We didn't really learn TypeScript in here, but like they know where the stuff is coming from. So that's why we can import it like that.
because the JSX is the file type.
Yeah. I'm thinking, yeah, if this file was something other than some type of JavaScript file, it wouldn't be able to look that stuff up. It wouldn't know. So,
Cool.
but let me so if I go back here, we still see right side, left side, because I'm still passing it there. I'm just passing it from like state, for example. And let's say all right, so so right now the right side component only has access to its own text. The left side component only has access to its own like text, right? They don't even know about each other. But with context, they can share the same like global state and reference that global state instead of its like local state. This is local to the component. Only this component can see this. Sometimes you want to reference state from other components, and it gets really difficult to do it. There's like an older way of doing it, and if we had enough time, I can like show y'all. I might just send y'all a video, something for y'all to look at, but it's called prop drilling. And prop drilling is like, it's not a good concept. And actually, let me actually just show y'all because I feel like it'll, just for completion, this whole prop drilling like concept. And I'm going to pretty much copy this whole thing and
So funny enough, I think I used prop drilling before to during my example when I was trying to teach it to the class, trying to teach React to the class. I think I was trying to use a prop, but ended up using prop drilling like by accident. I think I was talking with you about it because I was trying to get help with making it work or something like that.
Right. So we're gonna do this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna prop drill inside of this left component. I'm just gonna import actually I don't even have to do that. It's gonna do it for me. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see left. Oh wait, I didn't export that. We're not even going to use state here. We're just going to use the props that we passed in. So let's say, yeah. We're going to pass it some text as a prop. We'll say passed in from left side. And we have here passed in from left side. And to be honest, like let me like further prop drill because I want to show y'all that that's passed in from left text. Yeah, let's take this out. This text is actually going to come from the props that this one has. So left side is rendered inside of app.js. So if we give this text, we'll say coming from app.js. So if I refresh this, did something go wrong? All right, so I'm gonna go through it. There's a bug somewhere, but I'm gonna go through this. So it says coming from app.js, right? Inside of this text property, which goes into which is passed to the left side component. We go to the left side component, we have props here with the props.text. That's the problem. So we passed in props, and props is passing in the text into this left component. Yeah, you can see it here. But yeah, so this left component further takes a prop, and that renders prop.text. So that came all the way from app. So from app to left side to just left by itself. This can get real confusing and very time consuming if you got to pass these things down into like further and further nested components. The solution is to create global state, which is what we use with use context. So let me create that. What I'm going to do is, we're not going to have enough time to go over everything because we may not, but I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this folder, I'm going to call this global, because this is actually, I'm going to call this context. That's better, because it's going to contain the context. Like there's a hook called context, use context. And that's where this is going to be. So in here, I'm gonna create another file, and I'll name it. Let's see, I'll just name this file context dot JSX, whatever, or just .js. Let me just do .js. Actually, it doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter. So the first thing I want to do is, let me go to W3 School because they got the example right here. First thing I want to do, I want to use I want to create this context right here. And this context sets up global state for us. And we're going to see how that works. So I'm just going to say global state right here. And I'll say use context. And we initialize it. I mean, we call it. And we can initialize this with an initial state if we wanted to. For example, if I wanted state to be some object, I'll just say like text, hey. This is going to start off with an object as the state, and it'll have text hey inside of it. Now, obviously, we have to use this. So I'm going to export this, export default global state. Going to export it. So we set it up. This is us setting up global state. This part right here is us giving it some initial value. And this is us exporting it from this file so that we can use it inside of other files. That's all we did here. And stop me if you have questions. So again.
And so is it typical practice too, since you have global state, to have one global state component like this and then list a bunch of different objects within it? Or what's the best practice? Do you have multiple objects that have global state, if I'm making sense? Like if I'm referencing, not just text, if I want to reference all of the global state within my app, does it all come from this component? I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, you can hook it up to do that. So it doesn't have to be just one global state. I recommend just doing one, just using one for now, because it gets complicated if you do set up more than one of these. Like we could set up another one of these and then export that as well. We would have to just use export by itself, and then we'll have to
structure it
like state one. As soon as we use export default, that means we're only exporting one thing. So we can literally expecting a comma.
But did Isaiah freeze for y'all too?
Did he freeze? I think he froze.
Yeah, he froze.
At first, I thought he was frozen in awe of like his own genius, but nah, I think it just froze.
He's in a frozen state.
Yeah, he in the frozen. He in the frozen state. He in the infinite loop. He forgot to break the function. Welcome to Narnia.
Back to the light. Come on, Craig.
Yeah, he's gonna pop back in a couple seconds. But so I've seen export. I think you can export each line, so you don't necessarily have to. You can export default one thing, and that's gonna be the like whenever you call the component or whenever you use a component, that's what is gonna automatically aggregate from using it. But if you wanted to export multiple things, then you can export default one and then export the rest. I think that I believe that's how you got to do it. I also believe that you have to export default one thing, and that's
Yes,
something that
from
you
what
won't
I've
quote me
seen.
on. You said, huh?
From what I've seen, I think you got to have a default, even if you're
Yeah.
exporting multiple items. I think there has to be a default, at least in testing. That's what I've
Exactly.
seen.
Yep. You got to export default one thing, and then after you export default that, then you can export everything else. The export default is the one that you can just give a name to, so you don't have to use the same component name that was given that you can change that component name to anything, but all of the rest of the ones that you export, you have to use that component, that exported component name. So for example, if you export default left side, you can actually call it left when you import it into app.js. But if you just export it left side, then you would have to call it
My
left
bad.
side. Like you couldn't call it anything else. Huh?
Oh, it might be frozen.
Hello?
Yeah, he froze again.
Oh my gosh, he came back in and froze again?
Yeah.
Come on, internet, don't do them like that.
But yeah, Jay, that's true to your point. When you created that button for a project,
Yeah.
and Sam had created, or he had imported a package for Material UI, so there was two button components. And to your point, I had to import your button component with a different name because it was throwing it off. So I did the import as button custom or something along those lines. I had to change it somewhat so that it didn't interfere with the button component from Material UI.
Right. And that's what that export default gives you, that flexibility to do that.
Yep.
While exporting does not. Also, you have to put the exported things in those curly brackets. So whenever you export something from a exported component, then you have to put the curly brackets in there, like use state. You have to
Like you could destructure it almost.
exactly. There you go.
I was gonna say, yeah, my bad. It was like messing up for me. Y'all can hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Yeah, we good.
Cool.
You back?
I had to do this. That was the problem. And I could export as many of these as I want if I just export like this, export const and then whatever. And I'll just do it like this for now. Let's see what time is it. Okay, 45. Yeah, something's wrong with my computer. My computer is yes. But either way, this is
Too many jobs, man.
the what? I'm sorry, I missed.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
But yeah, this is the global state or whatever. Now let's say I wanted to use this within, and I'm gonna put this coming from global state. That's what I'm gonna write. And inside the left component, I'm just gonna reference the global state instead of referencing it from the app component. So what I can do is say const and then state is here and equals use context. Whenever you want to use a context, you use context. So we created the context here with create context. Hold on. This is supposed to be create context, not use context. create context. I'm sorry if I confused you, but yeah, we created the context here, or creating the global state here. And now we're going to actually use the context here by using this use context hook and importing global state. So global state was what we created, and that came from the context folder inside of context. So we got global state from there. I think we got to destructure it. And now let me do a console log here of state. Now actually some lines here too, so we can know where it's coming from. So if I open this up, go to console, just do a refresh. There's something wrong. Object is not durable. Cannot. It's just left line 5 here. Actually, it's just that. Yeah. So let me just refresh this. So we can see that what's printing out is the state right here coming from global state. So we created it with create context, and if we want to use it, we use context, and then we give it what we created. Like this is that created context that came from here, global state right here. So use context. This is the context that we're going to use. Now this has access to all of the different everything that's inside of state. So we can just do state.text right there. I'm gonna just delete this and this, and if I refresh this, it says coming from global state. And like I said, this is very useful because now we don't have to prop drill. We literally don't have to do that.
So if I want to set it equal to something else, like I can dynamically change it? Is it dynamic?
Yeah, well, not in the way we set it up right now, but that's a good question because I'm actually about to show y'all how to set the state, how to change it. You don't need none of this stuff anymore. Just getting rid of all of that prop drilling. So we just got that. This renders left side, and then left references state. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to change it within. I'm gonna change the state within app, and then we're going to see an update within left component right here. So if I go to this, I gave this like just like a global state right here. But what I want to do is I actually want to improve on this. I want to, let me see. I want to give you the ability to like change the state or update the state from different components. And let's see, the way I can do that is.
So could you use state? Are you going to use state?
Yeah, I'm gonna use state, but I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna put it in there. What I can do is I can say state right here, and then pre-context. I'm having like a little mini brain.
So could it be like in that side that coming from global state, could you set that like equal to the state hook? Like, so it'd be what?
Like if we do let me just import use state real quick.
Right.
Use state, and but
matter of fact, could you just do it in a whole nother function?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm having like, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I know how to do it. It's just let me just
It's escaping you right now.
It's escaping me basically.
Yeah, you got a lot on your mind, and it's all good.
Yeah, the whole setup is like messing me up, but this is good that y'all seeing this because like because what's it called it? Because this is how it's done. Let me see.
There you go.
See, that's the point of documentation. You can you can always go back and reference it. Here we go. Okay. All right. So yeah, this is how we do it. So what I can do is, so we have this user context right here. Okay. All right. So what we can do, instead of giving this as an initial value, we just not going to give it a value at all. We're just going to leave this file just like this. The way we're going to give it some value, some initial values, is we're going to give it within app by itself. The reason I was having trouble trying to remember how I did this was because I know we can use state, but we can't use state unless we're inside of another component or another like function like this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say use state, and y'all about to see how I'm going to give it some initial values. I'll say state right here, and I'll say set state here, and we'll just say coming from app.js. Let's just do that, and we're also going to import the import global state from here, and global state is actually a component that has properties on it. So one of them is this provider, and so let me actually format this, and I'll take a step back and explain what all of this is. So instead of context, we're creating a context, or we're creating a way to access global state. That's essentially what we just did right here. Now inside of app, we're importing that inside of app, and we're using it as a component. So we have to use global state, and we use dot provider, because provider gives us the ability to set like some initial values in global state. So instead of me setting it back in here like I did before, I'm setting it inside of app by using it as a component. And this is a component, global state dot provider, and then you pass it some value, some initial value. And what I'm going to pass it is an array that has the state, and it has set state inside of it. So literally every component that reference global state has access to state and set state. So if I go back here like I did last time, and I let me just do a console log of what state is, we're going to see that, let me just delete this. We're going to see that now we have access to this. So hold on, that's not right. Let me refresh this. Something's wrong here. Okay, yeah, here we go. So we got access to two things. We have access to the actual state coming from app.js and the function. This is that set state function. So we have two things we have access to. So I can actually let me actually make this look a little bit better. I'm gonna pass in the object here, and I'll say, and I'll pass it like this. So now it says state is this, and the set state function is set to the actual function right there. And again, the only reason it says it like this is because this is essentially what we're doing. State equals state, and set state equals state. That's what we're doing inside of the object. I'm just giving the key and value the same name by doing that shortcut.
So how can I define, like, if I wanted to put two dynamic variables in a, like, state and I don't know, display or whatever the case, or text, like if I wanted to put in two different dynamic variables, how would I do that?
You can put as many as you want in here. Like if I was to
There you go.
I can just keep adding them. Set state 2 is set state 2, blah, blah. You know, I can give them as many as I want. Let me just turn this back to the shorthand because this is actually better. And I'll say set state 2. And now if I do a refresh, obviously we have access to all of those different state variables.
Okay, now how do you use them?
Yeah, inside of the left side, since I have access to this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to print out state dot state because state is here and it says coming from app.js. So if I save this, and now it says coming from app.js. Now, if I wanted to change it, see what time it is. So I can obviously change this from app. Let me just delete these real quick because we don't need those. What I'm gonna do inside the app is after a few seconds, I'm putting this inside of a use effect because I want this to run one time. We went over this, right? This use effect and why like this only runs once.
Nobody, nope, not here.
Okay. All right,
But you can go ahead and just run it now so we can see
Yeah.
it, and then next class we can talk about it if you don't mind.
Right. I was just about to say that. So after, let's say 2 seconds, we're gonna change it. We're gonna change the value. So this is literally just gonna run once, and yeah, we'll just talk about it later. Let's say change after 2 seconds, and I'm gonna save this. Go back here and just should refresh. Yeah, change after 2 seconds. So essentially, what's happening is we define the state within app. We have state here. We know that set state changes the value of it, but state has an initial value of coming from app.js. And then after 2 seconds, we're going to set the state to something else right here. And obviously, every component has access to both of these, set state and set state, which is what we passed into this value parameter. And that gets passed all the way to left side. And that's why we have access to state right here. So yeah, that is context and create context. Now there let me see, on Tuesday, we're going to continue doing the same thing we always do. We're just starting to do where y'all just going to solve problems or whatever. But on Sunday is when I'm actually going to explain what the use effect is. Where is it? Yeah, use effect and like what this stuff means inside of use effect. And I'm also going to show y'all the actual convention of how to use this use context. The way we're using it now, we're passing in use state, but we're actually supposed to pass in something called use reducer. And use reducer gives us more flexibility. And I'll explain what use reducer is as well. So
Question.
Yeah.
The context, is it the same thing with context API?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it is. This is the context API. Yep. So yeah, context API consists of this create context and the use context, and you use both of them together. Create context is where you create all of the global create a space to have all of the global state, and use context is used to actually use that global state. So yeah, this is the context API, both of these.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like I'm a little shaky on the create context part because at first you passed in an object, but then you deleted it.
Yeah,
and I just to keep it in there, it would have broke something, or it would have still been okay.
I can still do this. So if I refresh, let me just refresh real quick. If I refresh, I can see that like the state is actually what I overwrote the state.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I can pass in whatever I want, but it's just gonna get overwritten. And that's why I didn't what's it called?
Pass anything again.
Yeah.
Just because you knew it was gonna get overwritten anyway.
Right. Like you will almost never like give it some initial state like this. That I was just showing y'all that just so y'all can know y'all can do it. But I would just leave it like this. This is fine as a setup. And then obviously,
I can now pass in as many variables as I want to into that and make them global variables automatically.
yeah, and I would do that within a component because then we have the ability to start changing the state because now we're combining we're combining the this
Mhm.
pre-context with use state. So in combination, when we start combining these hooks, that's when like the React really starts to shine. So, and we're gonna see more combinations of like all of these hooks when we start making our own hooks, like custom hooks. So, yeah. So it's already 12. So on Tuesday, I won't be in class again, and we'll do the same thing like we did last time, where y'all solve the problems. And on Sunday, we'll start off class the exact same way, where we'll y'all just present one problem that y'all solve throughout the week, just one kind of way. And honestly, I'm just going to pick 3 random people to just do it, just so we don't have to what's it called is spend a lot of time on it. And then after that, on Sunday, I'll explain what different ways to use this use effect. And I'll also introduce how to use the use reducer hook as well. So any questions on
I just have one quick question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the global state, is that considered just it's a component that's a variable? And the reason I ask is because I see that it begins with a lowercase g versus a capital, when I always thought you had to, begin your components of a capital in order for it to work. But yours still worked anyway.
Yeah, it does. I don't think it has to be capital for it to work. I think it may. I remember us having that conversation. It's capital by convention, and it's funny because the whole time I was writing this, I was thinking to myself, I should make that a capital G. So yeah,
Okay, so it's just a best practice. It's not required.
Right, best practice, exactly. And I know you said you have ran into an issue where it didn't work, but just to show you real quick, like we can make this look and it'll be exactly the same. Even if I changed it, yes, even if I change this to lowercase, it'll still work. It's just a reference. So yes, change that. So right side is here. Let me actually go inside of that and make this lowercase too, just so we can see the whole thing as lowercase. We export the lowercase. We're importing that inside of here. And this has to be lowercase here and lowercase here as well.
I was gonna say, I actually ran into a problem doing that too.
Let's see. Use state is called React hook. Use state is called in function that there's neither a React component nor a React. That's interesting. Maybe
React component names.
Maybe it has to.
Oh, because it's a function, right? So the global state's technically a variable that's being exported, right?
Yeah, it's a variable, but it's being exported. Yeah, you know what? Maybe you do have to make these capital. Maybe you do have to do that. But so either way, inside of the actual file, like inside of like where they use the global state variable, they're probably using capital letters. I thought that you can use the lowercase ones as well, but it looks like you probably can't. If I refresh this, let me update the input.
Yeah, you gotta go back to app and
wait, I never
and component.
Hold on, yeah, down here. I know you could use lowercase. I guess you can't. Maybe it's something that they put in. Context cannot read property of undefined. I messed something up completely. Let's see. Right side.
And he froze again.
Use state inside of React.
I'm frozen.
I'm still frozen.
No, you ain't frozen anymore. You good.
No, you good.
Yeah, I messed something up. I feel like I want to spend more time trying to like fix it. I'm just going to delete that component. Let me just delete this whole thing. Something went wrong there, and I don't. We already had time, so and we don't even need that right side component anyway. Just refresh this. What happened? What's going on? What is this?
What's in left?
It was working before.
I mean, just left. Let's see.
And, it's from React. Oh wait. Okay, we had changed this. That was the problem. That was the problem. We had changed that to uppercase, and we never changed it inside the left. I knew, and that goes back. I wish I didn't delete that right. Let me just try it real quick. Because I'm pretty sure I thought this was just a reference. Like if I just make this lowercase and say const right equals, just return
Right.
that says right and export default right. And we're going to import that into app. I feel like that should still work. It didn't import.
No, it's taking it as a tag.
Yeah, I think it's because I didn't import it up top. Right. Oh, I see what you mean. Hold on. Right.
Yeah, that's what I ran into during the project, or when I was doing like working on my presentation. It was showing blue, which kind of let me know I was doing something wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, it does have
call it right side in the import.
Yes.
In the import, you just call it right side.
Well, I mean, it's just called right here. Like it's not even like right side.
Yeah, but I mean, in a since it's exported default, try to see if you can call it right side, and then
like if I can call it like this, you're saying?
Yeah.
It'll
Let's see
it'll be
later.
it's just a it's just a variable name. Like you can call it whatever you want. It don't even like, even if I make this capital, like it's still exported as a lowercase, and it's now it's working.
There you go. Okay.
So I have to actually, so I can make it. That's so weird. What's that a thing? If I save this. Okay, so React. Okay, so that is okay. I got it. So it looks like this is literally just from me messing around with this. We can make these lowercase, but we have to actually use uppercase when it comes to using it inside of JSX.
We render. Okay.
We have to do that, yeah. And it doesn't know. But yeah, just leave it as uppercase. That'll just solve out all of it. You won't even have to worry about it. But yeah.
That's practice. Okay.
Yeah, that was a good catch though, this global state. Yeah, that's good to just make it capital. And it's odd that it even works lowercase. Now that I'm seeing that this is not working lowercase, but yeah.
It's probably because you exported default and it allows you to change it to uppercase. But if you exported it, you probably have a problem. Like if it wasn't export default and it was just export.
If I do export, let's see. So okay, yeah. Now we have to
issue.
Now we have to
and you probably want to export it as right side instead of okay, yeah, there you go.
No.
Yeah.
Right side is using incorrect casing. Yeah. Yeah, it's not even I'm trying to see if this works. If this works, I just want to maybe we can't do that. This was maybe it's just TypeScript actually.
Would it be right as right? So lowercase? Because that's what you exported it as.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, export const that. And yeah, there we go. So yeah, I gotta change the right side, but if I just do right by itself, let me see if that works.
That's a tag.
And then it goes back blue. Okay, so it has to be capital. So yeah, I'm not even sure why this works when it's lowercase and the other ones don't. But yeah, it's fine as long as we know how to use it.
Definitely.
Any other questions?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Stop recording.